absolutely love when these kind of black males say stuff like, oh, we don't date black women. No, hun, black women don't date you. Because let's just keep it a buck. Like, let's just keep it honest. The black males that act like they don't date black women are just the black males that black women have passed up on for years because something is wrong with them. Come on now. Black women don't date you. It's not the other way around.
Welcome back to the channel. You see what's on the screen, so you know what I'm about. So let's get to it. So this particular influencer has been around for a while. You know, I've seen a lot of her videos, you know, here, there, and everywhere. And for the most part, you know, I do think, you know, a good portion of her videos are decent. You know, like I say, I haven't gone through all of them, but, you know, I will say some of the ones, you know, I definitely agree with. This one, however, you know, I did take a little bit of issue with, just simply because I think it leans more into the gender war, you know, scenario. And honestly, this is why I really don't like under 1 minute videos, because, you know, when you're dealing with that, you know, you don't really take a deep dive, you know, into the person and really what are they saying. You know, you're taking this quick clip, you know, of them, you know, in an emotion, going through something, and then you're trying to figure out, okay, what do they really mean by that? And so for me, I kind of get what she's trying to say. You know, she's trying to say, okay, that there's a lot of black men that are saying things, right? And then as they're saying these things, that's not really, you know, what's going on. You know, they're making excuses, you know, and saying, hey, you know, I'm making this excuse of saying, hey, I don't date black women, when a lot of black women really didn't want you in the first place. However, you know, we see the same thing a lot of times with black women making excuses as well. See, to me, this is why I always say that there's so many things that are really on both sides. And then the gender war tries to act like it's very specific, you know, to the man or to the woman, right? But in reality, a lot of this stuff is this is just how people are. When a woman is out here and then she's basically saying, hey, you know, I've decided to no longer date, you know, this type of guy, or I've decided no longer to deal with this guy over here, or, you know, I don't date men with children, or I don't date men who, you know, don't make as much money as me, or, you know, every man that I run into, you know, is intimidated by me. Again, it's the same thing. You know, like I said, I've never really, like I said, for me, and you guys, you know, that have been tracking with me, you know, for a while, know, I've told you guys before, I've dated several women that had more money than me. I was not intimidated by them at all. So it's really not necessarily always about the woman and her finances and all of this. A lot of times it's just the men she's running into. And like when I was dealing with those women, what those women that made all this money didn't like about me is that I walked 100% in my masculinity, and they knew, you know, from the jump, you know, that I was not going to follow them. They were going to have to, you know, line up and follow me. And so to what she's saying, yes, there are men out there that make these claims. Okay, they say, oh, well, you know, this, that, and the third, you know, I date, you know, white women, or I date Latino women, or I date Asian women. And then they're trying to say, okay, well, you know, really black women don't want you. But see, to me, this is really where the crux of the problem is. Problem really within, you know, the black community at large is that we have all this pain, you know, that's going back and forth, you know, between the genders. Okay. And both genders have a lot that they can stand on, and they have, you know, things that they can show and prove to say, okay, this gender treats, you know, if I date white people, they treat me better. If I date Latino people, they treat me better. And this is really, like I said, on both sides. And my argument has always been, why aren't these really, really great black women finding these really, really great black men, and vice versa? Because as soon as she, you know, is saying that and making that argument, then I also have to make the same argument back to her and say that there are a lot of black men that have literally, you know, left black women simply because the black women did not know how to respect them, didn't know how to treat them, and didn't know how to basically allow them to be men. And we even had recently where there was a German woman, I did a quick video about it, where she was talking about that. It was something that she saw, and she wasn't even in the black community.
Something that I learned from home. If somebody would speak, and especially a man, you would let that man speak, and then you would listen and then say whatever you have to say, right? So I was clean. I cooked. He didn't know what it was when a woman is actually in the room asking him, like, do you want something to drink? before I got myself something to drink? Do you want something to eat? Before I started to eat my food, I would ask him, do you want to have a bite? I would come out of nowhere and just have a fruit bowl and just offer him some fruit. He didn't know none of this. So my husband, back then boyfriend, really thought this was a dream come true. He didn't know how to deal with none of this because all this me coming through, just being nurturing by nature, his peoples and his family didn't even do that for him. You know, like the family, there is no family unit. The average family, especially Black American family, has barely a family unit, you know.
And again, I'm not beating up, 100% on women here, because there are a lot of men, that have just not treated Black women well. And unfortunately, like I said, most people carry their pain with them. And I do believe that a lot of women carry just a tad bit more pain, just simply because it affects them more. When a man comes into their life, it really affects them. Everything from their sexual chemistry all the way down to possibly giving them a child. So when a man comes in and does damage, the damage is really strong. But since men, have more of an energy of just dating the attractive woman, okay, and the attractive woman that's available to them at that moment in time, they're more open to dating different types of women and different personalities within the women and giving a lot of women a chance, right? But I think at the end of this, we have to kind of pull ourselves back and we have to say, what are we really trying to do out here, right? What's the end game? And if the end game is trying to bring people together, that needs to be what everybody is preaching, from their pulpit, right? From their digital pulpit. But if that's not what they're teaching, that's fine. But then we have to recognize at that point that you're actually aiding in the gender war, that you're literally helping, in this particular situation, the women to believe, oh, yeah, she's right. I don't have to, to listen to these men. I can just do X, Y, Z. And then you have, like I say, other channels where, they'll be just preaching to the men and they're like, oh, yeah, we don't have to do this because of X, Y, Z. And what I'm always saying is that there are really great women and there's really great men. It's just that we have to figure out how to meet each other. And like I say, if people don't want to date within the Black race, that's fine. I have no problem with people dating outside of their race. But I always have that warning is that there are bad people in every race. There are bad people in every gender. There are bad people in almost every situation all around the world. So no matter what the situation is, keep your thinking cap on, as people used to say, and go out there and find really great people. Anyway, there's a lot of really great information down there in that description. I want to keep this one short and sweet. Please like, please subscribe, and I'm going to see you all in the very next video.